Hello again everybody, this is Gusto. Today I'm going to explore the individual combat ration of the Armed Forces of Spain. A typical 24-hour complement of food for the Spanish Armed Forces consists of 3 boxes, one being the breakfast portion, and then 2 lunch portions, both an A and a B, which the B is usually dinner. There's also typically 2 packs of crackers per 24 hours. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those. The last one that I had I sent to Steve1989. Anyway, a full 3 meals will provide anywhere from 3,400 to 3,600 calories. And we'll start off with the breakfast portion of this 24-hour ration. So taking a look at the outer packaging, this is kind of a light plastic outer wrapping. Inside contains a green box. And on top we have instructions and contents. We'll take a look at the contents. There's an oral rehydration solution, cocoa powder, condensed milk. There's actually 3 of those, totaling 75 grams. There's cereal with fruit and honey. A package of sweet biscuits, chewing gum, a chocolate bar, water purification tablets, matches, stove, fuel tablets, tissue paper, fluoride toothpaste, hand sanitizer, and a toothbrush. So certainly the stove and the heating tablets can be saved for later, and we'll get the rest onto the tray. So we'll start out with the sweet biscuits. Again, comes in the same packaging as the complete breakfast unit. There you go. Next, the cereals with fruit and honey. It's kind of a granola appearance. A chocolate bar. And there's some pretty decent blooming on the surface there. On the front, not too bad. Looks like a pretty light milk chocolate there. Smells good. Pretty fresh. We have the rehydration salts, oral rehydration salts. And there's no instructions as to how much water to put this in, so we'll just take a guess. It does show as being lemon flavored. It is a pretty small amount in that package. Really just a few grams. Kind of a white powder. That should be all we need. This kit does not come with any plasticware, so I'll just use an MRE spoon. Give that a stir. Next, the cocoa powder. And this is 18 grams. There you have it. That has a very rich chocolatey scent to it. I don't want to make it too weak, so I'm not going to put a ton of water in there. That should be good, 6 ounces. Give that a stir as well. And then it also comes with the condensed milk. And I'm going to start off by washing my hands with this nice little disinfectant that they include. It's kind of a clear alcohol gel. Awesome. Alright, so I'm going to start with the granola here. So you can grab a handful of it. So there you can see up close, got some bits of dried fruit, some raisins, and there is a honey flavor in here too. And that's really good. That's got a nice texture to the grains. Also just very lightly sweetened, and then the raisins in there are nice and soft, naturally sweet there. That's very good. Next we have the sweet biscuits. There you go. And so nice and crispy, kind of toasted. And that's nice and crunchy, nice sweet flavor, kind of tastes like an animal cracker. Let's try some of that with the condensed milk. So there's that up close. Oh yeah, that's really nice. Very, very sweet right there. That would go really well in some coffee. It's nearly identical to the sweetened condensed milk that I tried in the Australian ration. It's a very good addition to the crackers. Try this chocolate bar. So you can see there's a little bit of blooming on the backside, but overall looks pretty good. It's not the greatest chocolate as chocolate goes. It's a little bit on the waxy side. It's very sweet. There's not a lot of cocoa flavor to it, so it's not a really strong chocolate flavor, but not bad. Let's try that oral rehydration salts. And that certainly needed a little bit more water. It's pretty salty. It's listed as lemon flavor. I can't really pick that up. It's just kind of like a strong electrolyte solution. And then we also have the cocoa. It does have a nice rich cocoa scent coming off of it. Pretty typical for a lot of the European cocoa powders. They smell a lot more like dark chocolate than they do milk chocolate. And that's not bad. It's not really creamy, but it does have a nice cocoa flavor to it. I'm thinking maybe if I add some of the milk to it, give that a stir, that might help things out. Let's try that. Oh yeah, that's way better, way creamier. It's a good flavor. So that's the breakfast, and it's pretty simple. It's very light. I'm sure if you went through all of these biscuits that would be fairly filling, but it's overall a pretty light breakfast. Not bad at all. We'll go ahead and move on to lunch. So here is the lunch menu A2, and like I mentioned before, the 24-hour complement of food came with 2 lunch menus. The A is usually the midday meal, and B is usually dinner. So same packaging on the outside. Similar green box on the inside. Let's take a look at the contents. Again, there is an instruction sheet and content sheet. And what's nice is it's printed in Spanish as well as English, so that makes it easier for translation. On top there is a instant soup with chicken and pasta. There's 2 packages of energy drink with vitamin C. Actually 4 of those. There's a package of quince cream. There is a tin of Squid in its ink. And also a tin of Galician stew. Also contains more gum, more hand disinfectant, another toothpaste, another stove, fuel tablets, matches, and another paper towel. So quite a good assortment of food there. First things first, I'm going to get the stew heated up, and it's a little bit too windy and cold, a little bit rainy outside, so I can't use the stove, unfortunately. I'll just heat this on the cooktop. We'll get the rest onto the tray. I will start with the Squid in its ink. Comes in a full top tin. There you go. Really dark liquid there. That will be interesting. Very, very fishy smell to it. Next there's the quince cream. Yeah, that's very tightly sealed. Needed some persuasion to open. So there you go. Kind of looks like a fruit pate. Kind of a dark orange color. Next, the main food item, which is the Galician stew. I heated it on the cooktop. It's nice and hot. Next, the instant chicken and pasta soup. And this calls for 200 milliliters of water. Give that a stir. And as I mentioned before, I don't have the biscuits that usually come with the 24-hour meal. It usually comes with 2 packages of crackers. I'll go ahead and substitute some Dutch brown biscuits that I had left over. Not the same, but a reasonable substitute. Alright, so let's start with the main item, which is the Galician stew. As you can see in here, there's some bits of potatoes and beans, there's some pork fat, there's pork there, there's a big chunk of chorizo, and some greens in there too. So that looks pretty good. It smells fantastic. Really strong salted pork scent to it. There's some off the top. Yeah, that's very good. It's really salty, very strong. Salty pork flavor. It's very good, very good. And there's also some bits of pork fat, some bacon in there. It's kind of shredded up as I cooked it, but it's really tasty. There's some with the potatoes. That's really good. Then the chorizo. A little bit different flavor with the chorizo there. That's really good. Nice spicy flavor with that. That's an excellent dish. Probably one of my favorites that I've tried. Let's take a look at the squid and ink. Try to figure this out here. Oh, they're big chunks. Yeah. It's kind of in an oily liquid with some black ink. It's kind of got the whole body stuffed up inside the mantle there. So there you can see it in cross section. It's a really strong fishy scent to it. See if I can cut it open. Okay, so there you go. So it has a piece of the mantle and there's some of the legs. That'll be a decent sample. I'm going to prove to you that I'm eating this. Alright, so as far as texture goes, it's kind of gummy and rubbery. There was a little bit of a crunch to part of it, which is probably part of the beak and mouth. It's not horrible. It's got a really fishy flavor to it, and then the sauce is a little bit on the spicy side, actually. The ink adds a little bit of saltiness to it, but the texture of that stuff is kind of hard to get over. It's fairly unpleasant. Certainly not my favorite thing that I've tried, but glad I tried it. Next, we'll try this soup here. Again, this was instant chicken with pasta soup. So there you go. It's just kind of a chicken broth with some pasta shells. Yeah, that's not bad. It's a rich chicken broth. The shells have a good consistency to them. That's pretty good for an instant soup. Next we'll try the quince cream with some of those crackers. It's kind of like a firm jelly or like a fruit pate. It's very thick and sticky. Got a nice sweet scent to it. Put some of that onto a cracker. Yeah, it's like a really thick jam. And that's really good. It's got a nice thick paste-like consistency. It's pretty sweet and fruity. Quince isn't a flavor that I'm familiar with. It's actually the first time I've ever tried that, but it's kind of a mild fruity sweetness. It's very nice. It balances out the rest of the meal, which is very salty. So that's it for lunch. Next we'll move on to dinner. Okay, for the dinner portion of this ration, we have a lunch B menu. And like I said, the B menus are typically the dinner portion. If we take a look at this, same packaging, same plastic outer. And a similar green box inside. Again, there is the instructions and contents card. First we have another instant soup, and this is a vegetable instant soup. Next, a canned item, beef and peas. Next, a can of white tuna with vegetables. Next, a can of pate with peppers, and this is pork pate. Next, a can of fruit cocktail. Next, there's another set of 4 packages of energy powder with vitamins. There's another hand disinfectant. Another package of toothpaste. Another stove. 3 more fuel tablets. Matches. Chewing gum. And paper towel. So the main thing I notice about these lunch meals is that they don't contain any drink mixes. The only drink mix that was in this was the cocoa beverage powder in the breakfast, as well as that isotonic rehydration salts, which really wasn't much of a drink. And I'm not sure if these powders are supposed to be eaten dry or mixed with water. We'll try it both ways. And again, today is pretty windy and cold outside, so I'm not going to be using the stove, but I will show you how to put it together. So included in the instruction sheet is directions on the stove, and it shows to bend this one downward, this one downward, this one up, and the two tabs in on each side. And it will sit like that with a fuel tab in there, and the cans would go right on top. And interestingly enough, the black spot on KiwiDude's cutting board is due to one of these. So I will heat this up on the stove, and then we'll get everything else out of the tray. So while the main item is heating up, I'm going to open everything else. We'll start with the side item, which is the tuna and vegetables. Next, let's do the pate with peppers. Again, this is pork pate. There's that. Next, we'll prepare the vegetable soup. Just like the other soup, this one requires 200 milliliters of water. Next we have the fruit cocktail. There's that. Again, I don't have any crackers for this, so I'll use some leftover brown biscuits. Again, we have the 4 packages of vitamins, and these don't have any directions for rehydrating it in water, so I'm not sure if it's supposed to be eaten dry or to be reconstituted in liquid, but we'll try it twice. The instructions say that you're supposed to have 2 doses of this a day, and 1 dose is 4 packets, so quite a lot. And for the main item, we have the beef and peas, which has been heating on the cooktop. It's a little bit hot. So there you have it. It's in a broth, peas with big chunks of beef. There you go. So let's get started with dinner. So there's dinner. So on the main item, you can see big chunks of beef in there and some peas. It's kind of in this beef broth, but pretty pleasing. Good pieces of meat there. So let's get started with the main item. Get a piece of beef, get some peas there. So there you go, up close. Looks pretty good. That's actually pretty good. I was expecting it to be a lot more salty. It actually has a very nice beef flavor. The texture of the meat is really good. It's like a good beef stew. Next we'll try the tuna in vegetable oil. Sorry for the bad translation. Google Translate said vegetables, and that was wrong. And this is really nice. Look at this. This is big chunks of flaky white tuna. It looks really good. That's actually one of the best canned tunas I've ever had. It's a very mild flavor, very light. I usually prefer tuna in water rather than oil, but this is very good. Very light, mild flavor. Not too fishy at all. Next we'll move on to the pate. Again, this is pork pate with chilies. So there you go up close, pretty finely ground pate, kind of a pinkish color. And we'll put that on one of the crackers. And that's actually very good. It's got a really light, mild pork flavor, just a little bit salty, and you really can pick up the peppers in there. It's very good. Next we'll try the vegetable soup. Again, this is kind of thickened while it's been standing. It's a vegetable broth and it has some croutons in it. Looks pretty good. That's pretty salty, but it has a decent vegetable flavor to it and a nice little crunch with the croutons. Next, the fruit cocktail, and this appears to be mainly peaches and pears. Kind of in a light syrup. Yeah, and that's pretty good. It's as you would expect from a fruit cocktail. Good flavor. And lastly, for the vitamin powder, let's take a look at that and see if we can figure it out. Like I said, there's no instructions on reconstituting that in water. Let's take a look. It's kind of fine granules. And it's not too bad dry. Just seems like it would dry out your mouth a lot. So let's put it in some water and try it out. And it says that the recommended dose is 4 packages, so we'll put the other 3 in there too. Add some water. So there you go. It would certainly be easier to take like that. It's kind of sweet with a little bit salty also, so a pretty typical electrolyte solution. But having to take 8 of those a day, it'd certainly be easier to take in water. So that does it for 24 hours worth of Spanish rations. This has been a really enjoyable one to try, and with the exception of the squid, which is just my own personal preference, it wasn't my favorite thing, but everything else in this ration has been fantastic. The quality of the food items in here was very, very good, and all of those items were very tasty. And of course, after dinner, it's always best to brush your teeth, so I'll go ahead and demonstrate the Spanish Army toothbrush. Comes in a little tube. There you have it. Pretty cool. Alright, so again, thank you to all the viewers and subscribers, as well as all the folks over on MREinfo.com and in the ration review community on YouTube. Your support has been fantastic. And for the YouTube viewers, please remember that your support benefits St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, so thank you very, very much for that. So again, thanks for watching, and please stay tuned, a lot more to come. So until next time, we'll see you later.